moves that went down from Arlington and leading up to Dallas. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's up, guys? Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Caster, one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS report where today, again, we're covering all of that Rostermania, and trust me, there was plenty of it. We're going to be covering it all, so this way you can be properly prepared for Dallas in case you don't know what's been going down. We'll go over each of the rosters that are on screen right now, even though not all of them participated in Rostermania, but just to kind of catch you up. Shopify, Bell, in case you didn't know, Cycle, Royal 2, Last Shot, and Frosty. They look like the #1 squad going into the tournament. However, it was Optic Gaming that came out with a huge win. Formal, Bound, Renegade, and Legend. In third place was FaZe with Falcon, Suppressed, Penguin, and Trippy. SSG looking very good, by the way. We'll do another video about them. But Snakebite, Stellar, Eco, and Lucid. Team Nemesis. Oh, you got a little bit of Glories. You got a little bit of Snipe Drone. You got the Tom. And then you got SLG, Cloud9, Boo Boo Doo Boo, Setify, Sab, and Manny. Infamous was... By the way, this is where we get to the was part where Rostermania starts to hit. Infamous was Lethal, was Ezo, was Collect, and was Descendant. Breaking Shot, Common, Ryan Noob, and King Nick making up Gen G. TSM, Tolic, Druck, Soul Snipe, Cherished, Complexity, Spartan, excuse me, Mental, Precision, and Huss. And then there was Luminosity, which was Mortally, Piggy, Jackson, and Advocacy. Now, where things start to, I guess we'll put the section the what the French toast just happened, and we'll talk about each and every one of the roster moves that went down. So ultimately, Luminosity, they end up just breaking up. Luminosity just explode. And honestly, I can't really say that I'm really surprised by that. They came in as the 5th seed, which was incredible online, but they got to LAN and didn't win a single series and ended up in 16th place. Now, I think that if you were able to get 5th seed online, maybe that first time coming together as LAN, you had a lot of inexperienced players on LAN. Like, I feel like maybe there could have been a war where they stayed together and went into Dallas and really, like, kind of built up on that momentum that they kind of brought to begin with. But ultimately, they decided to go multiple different ways. Complexity also makes some big moves. They drop Precision and Huss. Big moves made by Complexity. They decide to go in literally half a different direction. They had a bit of a disappointing 2025 as well. I think Arlington was a little bit more kind to them than expected, but then if you put it in a vacuum, it's like, okay, well, you beat Luminosity, but Luminosity weren't the team that we thought they were going to be on LAN, so it's like, how good were Complexity if we're basing it off of that Luminosity win? TSM, they dropped Cherished. So we got a lot of players in the what the fuck just happened section. Gen G stay entirely the same. I think Gen G actually did decent, and so did Infamous. I think they end up finishing out in like the same placing as well. But Infamous do decide to make some changes. Actually, to be honest with you, the whole daggone squad changes, which will change some of the players have stayed together, and we'll change the names. But Infamous are no more, and they end up kind of joining other squads, and then eventually it was Manny that decides to leave. From what we understand, he'd leave Cloud9, although Cloud9 had an incredible finish. I mean, dude, Cloud9 were great at Arlington, and mind you, they were one game away from making it into the top 4 and into Championship Sunday. They almost took Space Station Gaming's spot. Was very surprised to see that they decided to make a move. But now we're going to talk about some of the moves that ended up leading to this. So from what I saw, I think the first move was kind of Manny joining TSM. No real surprise there. TSM, this squad has been rocking together since Season 1, since before Season 1. Bringing back together, like the last time they played together was end of Season 1 when they got 3rd place at Worlds. You know, there was some visa issues that kind of came up that didn't allow them to play in season 2. Season 3, Solstipe ended up joining Shopify Rebellion, and there was a pure roster. But as far as all the players that were together, it hasn't happened since the end of season 1. Well, now we get to see TSM again playing together, and maybe, just maybe, we see some magic with these squads. But that was like that was kind of the first move that I saw. Then we saw Lethal end up joining Cloud9. So TSM, they get their full roster together. They end up getting 3rd place during the qualifier. Keep in mind, this qualifier, you didn't have teams like SSG. You did not have teams like Optic, not like Shopify. But all the teams that automatically qualified for Dallas didn't play in the qualifier because makes sense. They already qualified. So we did ultimately see TSM. I thought TSM were. Oh, what did I just do there? I'm sorry. My bad. We did see TSM ultimately get 3rd place, which was worth mentioning. We also saw Cloud9 get 2nd place as well when they brought Lethal onto the roster as well. So Lethal now joining Cloud9, and this is where things get like super mixy. So let's go back to here, and we'll save Incognito for last. Sorry, we'll save Incognito. How about we talk a little bit about this one roster kind of seemingly coming out of nowhere? You have Collect, Ezo, Hus, and Mortally. A little bit of drama that we saw going on in the text messages, and find like, okay, so there was a player dropped, was a player selected, like what exactly happened with this roster? How did they come together? Nobody really knows apparently, but it kind of resembles that infamous roster because you have Collect and Ezo still playing together. Obviously, Hus from Complexity and Morley from Luminosity. So let's talk about this one roster, and we'll take out kind of reminds that infamous roster, and we'll talk about Ezo. We'll add Collect, and then we'll add Hus and Mortally. That will check my work real quick. Collect, Ezo, Hus, and Mortally. Perfect. That's one of the new rosters that seemingly came out of nowhere. Again, half of that infamous roster. I mean, top 6. Not bad. Actually doing the same as Complexity. I'm sure if you asked those players, they would have loved to be in that top 4, top 3. But, you know, not every team is going to hit the ground running. Like, I think that's kind of like a common misconception where people will like they'll see a team come together, and like they'll see some teams that come together and just immediately click for whatever reason and find instant success. But it's not the same for every single team. You know, not every journey is exactly the same. So one, they come out decent, but maybe they look even better after more scrims and ultimately leading up into Dallas, especially because Dallas is on land, and you guys know land is a bit diffy. Meanwhile, well, you know what? We're talking about Complexity, because Complexity did drop 2 of those players, and what did they end up doing? They ended up taking Advocacy from Luminosity, and then they also take Cherished, who was dropped from TSM. So ultimately, Complexity finished in top 6 as well, and they have half of a new roster, Spartan and Mental. Remember, they brought Mental onto this roster when they dropped Breaking Shot, who was ended up scooped up by Gen G. By the way, that Gen G Complexity matchup on LAN was crazy to watch. But keeping Mental and Spartan is kind of their core, and then bringing on Advocacy, formerly of Rainbow Six, and then Cherish, who's formerly of Apex as well, even though I think he played a little bit of Halo 5 as well. And this squad has a ton of potential. We saw top 6. I think we can see even more than that, but the problem is that, like, you look at the ones, look at the Complexity, look at the Gen G, the TSM, maybe even the Cloud9, even though Cloud9 might be a slight tier above it. It's like, dude, all of them are fighting for those same spots to be, you know, contending for top 4, to be that dark horse squad. Like, they're all very similar, and I feel like in a lot of these matchups, it can really be a coin toss. But yeah, and then I guess that's pretty much it. Besides this Incognito roster, that, good God, Incognito, I guess I can just work off of what we have right here. They come in out of nowhere and they fry. Precision is looking like the Precision that was scouted back by Complexity, stolen back, like that main Slayer that through any means possible, I'm going to fry your ass type stuff, bro. Precision was playing on just another level. And I think Descendant, who's been sneakily just been a damage dealer, has been a shot maker. Like he has sneakily been so good for so long, and I feel like a lot of times we're not giving respect to Descendant. I think once they start placing where he should be, that's when we'll start looking more at Descendant. Like, this guy was scouted by Ryan Noob for a reason. He's been, a top performer on almost every single roster that he's been on for a reason, and he's one of the most least talked about players. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, why? Are we not watching this guy's stuff, the stat sheet? And then you combine that with Jackson and Piggy, who are playing just an unselfish brand of Halo. Like, great in the assist department, great in the damage department, not afraid to play the objective either, no ego type stuff. Piggy, who's been not only consistent in the stats, but also just like as a pure plant your feet, shoot and outgun a player. You could put him in open space and he can outgun some of the best of them. And Incognito, again, seemingly out of nowhere, steal first place during that qualifier, beating out the likes of a Cloud9, beating out the likes of a TSM, a Genji's, like many teams that people had as their favorites to come out in first place were blown out. I think Incognito were absolutely fantastic, and I'm really excited to see what exactly they do on land, because if they can keep that same energy, we could ultimately see some magic. But now we see what the new rosters are looking like. Again, no real change over toward the top four, which I don't think anybody really expected. I didn't expect Cloud9 to make a change, but I'm not mad at Lethal joining them whatsoever. Half of that infamous roster turning into Incognito, TSM stealing a player from Cloud9 or stealing back their old teammate in Manny, Complexity changed half their roster, and it feels like one almost feels like a roster kind of picked up the pieces. But I mean, you look across the board, you're just like, well, a pretty damn good boy. A pretty damn like if you end up going through all of this roster mania and this is the squad you end up with, like, shoot, ain't nothing wrong with that, I promise you. But just an exciting Dallas that we're going to see, because I mean, think about what happened at Arlington and all the storylines, all of the matchups, all of the exciting gameplay. Take the blackout out of the situation, but maybe we can see a blackout in Dallas, I guess. I don't know. But it was one of the best events that we've had in Halo Infinite, and now Dallas has an opportunity to follow that up. Like, we left Arlington hungry for more. We left Arlington wanting more competitive Halo on land, and in just a couple of weeks, we're finally going to get it at Dallas. So hopefully this catches you guys up, in case you guys haven't really been keeping up with all of the roster moves and online tournaments. Maybe this helps guide you into Dallas and knowing some of the rosters. But until next time, don't forget, comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Push that algorithm to more people who might want to watch this type of content, who also need this type of content to stay in the loop. And until next time,